projection. You know, I tried telekinesis a long time ago. I had some success, but not enough to really just make that my main ability. And I thought to myself, okay, obviously I'm not able to do telekinesis properly, but I can do astral projection properly. So I just started putting all of my focus on astral projection instead, trying to make it better, because that's where I was seeing the main results from. But I'd love to get to the point where I could master everything. But it seems this experience that I'm having is only geared towards me noticing consciousness and developing consciousness in a transcendental type stuff where you're overcoming a situation, you know? One day, and I say one day, but it's funny because I just thought to myself, I always say this, but it happens very, very soon. I want to be able to manipulate things like you do, telekinesis, and have astral projection and lift myself off the floor, because that would be the perfect thing to do. Go to the city of London, like Oxford Circus, for example, and just levitate off the ground really, really bloody high, you know? And everyone will see you. And it will make them think, it'll open their awareness for starters and make them think it's possible. And then if I tell them my story, that I'm just like them, then they'll think, okay, I can do it as well. Because if you can fall asleep, you can astral project. I'm sure with telekinesis, there is a part of telekinesis which everyone else can do, like anyone, no matter who it is, no matter what their condition, no matter what they eat. There is a way of achieving these states of being which allow you to have these experiences if you just know how to do it properly.
Yeah, I always say that it's a thing anyone can do. Like you just need to practice doing it. Like that it's a skill like anything else that you need to train and put effort in, and then you'll be able to do it. A lot of people overlook the importance of the overlap between other subjects. So like people want to do telekinesis and they start trying to learn telekinesis, but I didn't start there. Like I started off in telepathy. Like telepathy is like my strongest area, and there's lessons to learn from telepathy, lessons that you can learn from clairvoyance and precognition that you can apply to telekinesis. And I'm sure it's the same for all different sorts of psychic abilities, that there are small parts that you can take from each one to put together to create, you know, a broader understanding of extrasensory perception as a whole.
I wish I had my notepad with me, because what you just explained was perfect. I ticked off the list every ability that I have, never got to the ones that I wanted. I had like over 20, up to like, I think I had 31. Pretty sure I had 31. My memory's pretty good now. I had 31 abilities. All of them range within a certain type of frequency, state of being. Astral projection, you can project, see the dead. Come here, open your third eye, you can see dead people. Not only that, you can touch things from 3D into the astral realms. There's one where you can possess people and see what they're looking at. Not complete full possession, but you can see what they're looking at. You can hear through their ears, hear what they're listening to. Biolocation, things where you touch things, other people's stuff, and you can tell the type of person. And it's not just the type of person, what they think, their lifestyles, their habits, any energy signature that deals with a certain state of thought. Everywhere. That's why I'm not sleeping in my brother's bed. I can't, it's too loud, there's too much information there. And that on itself, it's like that in and of itself is telepathy. You get everything. It's so much information. It's not just a voice inside your head, which that is some way of going about it. You can do it that way with astral projection. That's how I discovered that part of telepathy. You know, I'm sat there, I'm trying to astral project, and I hear a voice inside my head. I then look in the astral realms, and I'm able to see someone without a mouth telepathically talking to me. But then empathy as well with the emotions. There's empathy where you can look at someone and you can choose to recreate using your memories a similar feeling towards what it is that they're experiencing right now. Or there's the empathic people where you can literally feel the bioelectricity pumping through someone else's heart. I don't know how to use this phone. We haven't had a house phone in my house for years. I'll just wait until it sorts itself out. Okay, now it's stopped. Yeah, but like I was saying, you can feel the information pumping out of a person's heart, which is making them think a certain way, making them anxious, making them feel love. You can feel all of it. You can feel it with plants. You can feel it with everything. When I first became telepathic with plants, that completely changed my opinion on telepathy completely. Because when you hear that, you think someone's crazy. It's done through the universal language of like, I don't even want to say emotion because that isn't quite what it is. It's like the baseband, you know, within the phone, you have a baseband which deals with the programming. It's the information below everything else, which everyone can tap into. And that is a telepathy within it of itself. It's literally a state of being where anything can communicate with anything. And everyone has it. You can do it with inanimate objects and people. And that's when I keep bouncing toward telekinesis. I keep bouncing back and forth because I'm discovering things in astral realms and doing all of these other mental mind-bending practices. And then I look at, like right now I'm looking at my brush. I can feel the atoms that make the brush. I can feel its density. I can feel the information that's collapsing its waveform. I can feel the space and the distance and where it is on my table, but I can't move it. And I try to move it. I go through all these ways of trying to move it. And I've even gone so far to the point where, you know, when you're looking at something, light is hitting your retina and it's going inside your head. I've gone so far as to changing the frequency that I'm receiving the light to make it look as if it's moving, you know. And I discovered how to do that when I was watching The Matrix. She said, instead, only notice the truth that there is no spoon. And then when I looked back at all the stuff I know about reality, and it's all light bending, and it's not actually what it looks like, I thought, okay. And I thought, okay, I'm going to change the way that my pineal gland is perceiving light. And then it started warping the space around me and completely bending everything. And then I thought, well, is it actually happening? And then I heard somebody saying that consciousness, when you look at things, collapses the waveform, which then changes the waveform to the point where it looks solid. So when you're not looking at it, it's a wave. And when I change the way I'm looking at it, it turns into a wave. So does this mean that people around me are also seeing the same thing? You know, so I need to start doing it with people in my space. And if that is not the case, then much like empathy, am I just changing the frequency that they're able to then look at the object as well? Because I'm doing it whilst I'm standing next to them. So am I making them hallucinate? Am I making them see light bend because it's coming from my pineal gland and not theirs directly? Which will be a really cool skill, to be able to make people hallucinate. That would be something, that's like literally something straight out of a comic book, X-Men. You know?
I was just thinking of, there is a guy in it, Mastermind, I think his name is, something like that, who can do that. You know, like project hallucinations into other people's minds.
Yeah. So it's like I'm trying to do one thing, and keep coming up with answers for something different. it's a constant thing. I reckon if I do telekinesis on purpose, it will be because I've done it by accident and I'm able to notice it. I've done it by accident before, but every time I go to look at that memory, the information's there, but it's not enough for me to recreate it on purpose. That was with a pen, a Opticon pen, you know, the ones with the rigid.
Yeah.
It's not round, so it's not going to roll. It takes some force to knock it on its edge. And I was trying to move it with my hand. This was some years ago. This is before I could astral project on purpose. I was trying to move it with my hand. And I thought it's not working, but I'm going to keep trying to do it. But I'm going to check Facebook at the same time. So I stopped looking. And then the pen flew off the table. My heart stopped. I was like, I did it. But I tried to do it again, nothing. And that is the heaviest thing that moved, because when you use PSI wheels or foil, paper, stuff like that, it could be a whole host of things that's making it move. It could be heat from your hand. It could be the different bioelectrical signatures that are coming out of your body. It could be how you're breathing, bouncing off one wall and coming around. You know, so I started putting it inside of my teapot because I got a glass teapot. I tried to move it, it didn't budge. And then that just completely knocked out my drive to want to do it. And then I thought, I'm just going to focus on astral projection, and that's where I'm at the moment.
With one of the things that people seem to not understand about telekinesis is they have this idea that it's entirely the mind, and nothing is entirely the mind. You know, it's a interaction between the mind, the body, and the target that you're trying to move. So, in the example of a psi wheel, yeah, people will often say, "Oh, you know, it's just heat coming from your hands that's making the psi wheel move." Yeah, but what if you are making your hands hotter to make it move? Like, that is still telekinesis.
Yeah.
You're still influencing an object from a distance using your mind. People have this idea of like some perfect telekinesis that's purely just a beam coming from your mind and picking something up and moving it, when that's not what it is. It just means that you're able to move an object from a distance.
Definitely. Vibration, heat, that's one thing I can do. They call it tumo. I can make my body raise in temperature to the point where I sweat. And I can do the opposite and make myself really cold. It allows me to have ice showers, stand in the rain, like pretty much naked. And I just focus on certain areas where my cauldron is, the heat, and then I forget about the cold. And I can also redirect heat throughout my body as well, especially the hands. But I'm never able to go to the point where things set alight. I can get to the point where people notice it. You know, I'm like, check this out. I put my hand on them, and then all of a sudden my hand gets warmer, but it never gets piping hot.